Very good morning to all of you. Honorable Mr. Justice Ashutosh Kumar, Chief Justice of the Lord High Court, my esteemed brother and sister, Justice Michael Zokhuba and Justice Marley Panpu, the dignitaries of the audience, senior officials from the Forest Department, from the Pollution Control Board, senior judicial officers, members from the various departments who have come here, President of the Bar and the lawyers present. A very warm welcome to all of you. This morning, I believe my task I feel to be quite tough in the sense that while I'll be welcoming you all, I would want to thank you at the same time. So, it's indeed a tough task indeed. This program, as we see out here in the board here, that the seminar of this kind, it has been mooted from the National Human Rights Commission. They had felt that this is an important topic of recent times, and they had requested our High Court to do something about it. And Honorable Chief Justice has requested all the outlying benches and the state legal service authorities of the different 4 states to look into this and organize a program. So under his patronage and advice, the Mizoram State Legal Service Authority, with the collaboration of the Mizoram Pollution Control Board, as well as the Environment, Forest and Climate Change Department, have organized this seminar. So when the first idea came, I approached the Honorable Chief Justice as to whether he would be able to come and attend this program personally, despite his hectic schedule. And without a second thought, he readily agreed. He not only agreed, but he gave me good advices and guided me how the program should be held. And it's thanks to him that we have this program today. Above that, as we know, the High Court covers 4 states, and it's difficult to have more than 2 judges in one station. But seeing the importance of this program, Honorable Chief Justice was kind enough to station all of us here to be in this program. Thanks to you, sir. This is a great honor to have this kind of function amongst this August gathering. Now, coming to the topic, the world is grappling with a host of pressing environmental challenges that demand immediate attention and action. From climate change-induced disasters to biodiversity loss and plastic pollution, to the rise of artificial intelligence. The key challenges include rising global temperature, extreme weather, events like drought, floods, deforestation, ocean acidification, and waste management. And studies shows that average global temperatures have increased approximately 1.1 degrees Celsius since the Industrial Revolution, leading to more frequent and intense heat waves, accelerated melting of glaciers, thermal expansion of seawater with coastal communities at risk, with levels rising from 8 to 9 inches since 1880. Roughly 1 million species of plants and animals are currently threatened with extinction. Over 75% of the Earth's land surface have been significantly altered, largely by agricultural expansion, which accounts for 70% of terrestrial biodiversity loss. The oceans have become massive dumps for plastic waste, which persists for centuries and enters the human food chain. Approximately 40% of the world's soil is now degraded, threatening global food security and reducing the land's ability to absorb carbon. Roughly 2 billion people, that is about 26% of the world's population, lack access to safe drinking water. The crisis is exaggerated by climate-driven droughts. Now, the UN has taken a lot of steps in this regard by developing the Sustainable Development Goals and international treaties like the Paris Agreement, which aims to limit warming to 1.5 degrees centigrade and to avoid irreversible tipping points. Insofar as our country, India, is concerned, the environment is a combined constitutional mandate and statutory obligation enforced through specialized judicial and administrative frameworks. The Constitution of India mandates environmental protection through 3 primary avenues. As we may be aware, Article 48A provides that the state is required to protect and improve the environment and safeguard the forests and wildlife. Article 51AG to be precise, provides for the protection and improvement of natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, and wildlife. The fundamental rights as enshrined in Article 21 has been interpreted by the judiciary to include the rights to wholesome environment free from pollution, apart from the right to life. Now, we all know, and we'll be studying that today, the principal environmental laws in our country, such as Environmental Protection Act, Water Protection Control and Pollution Act, Air Prevention and Control Pollution Act, the Wildlife Protection Act, etc. So, in recent times, we see, even in our state, we have changed a lot of, we have seen, experienced a lot of climate change. There were times when the use of fan was unheard of. Now, in today's world, let alone fan, we require air conditioning in households. So you can feel the change. Population has grown, and the way of life in cultivation is also, shroom cultivation, as we know. This time of the year, in February, March, April, is a time, as we all know, they clear the forest, they burn the forest. A lot of smoke and ashes will be flying around very soon, but this is the kind of practice that we have. But we must see that in the long run, this is really going to affect the climate. We've already felt the climate change now. What is the solutions for that? Now, we have certain laws to check these, like the red acts which I've read out. The laws are made by the legislature, and at the same time, court also tries to enforce these laws. But you and me, in particular, are the ones who are responsible to see that we contribute to easing the change of climate by being more proactive with the kind of laws that we have and how to implement that, to create more awareness, such as in this kind of seminar that we have. Now today we'll be having resource persons who are in fact very fluent with this subject, and some of us will not be attending the technical session. So for our benefit, we have 2 persons who would be noting down everything, and those who are participating today also will not go empty-handed. This compilation will be made. Whatever proceedings has happened today will be compiled in the form of a book, and this will be available later on, so that we can carry forward the endeavors that we have made today. So, I express my heartfelt appreciation to all the participants for sparing their valuable time to come to this for this seminar today. And I extend a very warm welcome to each one of you. My best wishes to the resource persons, the chairpersons for the sessions, the presenters and the panelists. And I do hope this seminar would be a stepping stone to spread further awareness on the issue by making us understand that it is none other than you and me who are responsible to make our world a better place to live in, especially keeping in mind the younger generations to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lordship, for the warm welcome speech. Let me now invite Honorable Mr. Justice Michael Sultan Boma, Judge of the Guwahati High Court, to address the gathering.
Good morning, everybody. My chief, Shri Ashutosh Kumar, my brother, Justice Nelson, my sister Marley, the registrar of the High Court bench of the Guwahati High Court, Lianku Malayalum, the chairman of the Mizoram Pollution Control Board, Mr. Rajiv Kumar Tiwari, PCCF, the Puramzara Senior Advocate, Mr. Datta Shantanu Datta, the resource person, of this Mr. Meghna Yadav, the IGP training, the President of the Bar, the additional AGs, members of the Mizoram Bar Station, officers of the various departments, judicial officers, members of the registry, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the topic that has been chosen today is a very vague topic. There are many aspects to this topic which can be gone into. And since we have got resource persons, luckily we have to limit ourselves to what we are going to speak. Nevertheless, I'd just like to point out a few things which I have read, and actually this is a subject which is very close to a lot of our hearts. Now, as per the Stockholm Resilience Center report of 2024, there are 9 planetary boundaries which indicate the state of health of Earth. In the 2024 report, 6 of the 9 boundaries have been breached. One is that the CO2 levels have exceeded the safe levels in various parts of the Earth. There is a loss of biodiversity integrity, thereby meaning that there is species extinction beyond the natural levels. In fact, 10 to 100 times levels higher. There is a change in the land system, soil degradation, deforestation, reduced carbon sinks. Now, carbon sinks, what are carbon sinks? Carbon sinks is the ability to store more carbon than what is being produced. Trees, for example. When you look at the Earth, one of the greatest carbon sinks is seagrass. Now, seagrass occupies 0.1% of the Earth's floor, ocean floor, Earth's ocean floor. And it works at a faster rate than trees, at around 35 times more fast. And now there is a loss of this seagrass in the ocean at the rate of 7%. That is what 0.7% or something like that. Now, why is this? It's because of pollution. How do we pollute the sea? We throw trash, chemicals, oil spills. I mean, there are myriad of reasons. Changing weather, hot. The oceans are getting hotter. And in fact, now, with the little that I read, with Arctic ice breaking up, a lot of methane that has been there, that has been trapped within the ice, is going to be released into the atmosphere. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that are happening. I think you can feel it. Mizoram is no more the old place that it once was. I remember in my school days, I used to wear jackets basically throughout the year. In the monsoons, during the rains, we had to have jackets. There used to be rainfall, light rain, drizzling rain for 7 days continuous, sometimes 3 days continuous. So those were there. I've never experienced that anymore. Now it's just a big thunderous roar of water, in half an hour, 1 hour, the rain finishes and goes. So the rain patterns also have changed. Now among the 6 boundaries that have been transgressed as per the Stockholm Resilience Center report is also there the change in the fresh water. There is biochemical flows, novel entities, and now as per there is another report made in 2025 where another planetary boundary was supposedly breached, and that is, I believe, with regard to the oceans. It has become more acidic than before, and then of course there was the problem of aerosols and ozone depletion, which has now reversed, luckily for us, but the other boundaries have to be fixed. That is one issue that has to be taken care of by us. So, we don't have the oceans here, but we do have trees. But it has been cut down nevertheless, and for various reasons, for cooking, for building houses, and for profit. Now we have got to somehow try to protect our trees and grow more trees if possible. You see, when you look at the population, the density of forest cover all across the globe and even say in Mizoram, maybe you read that the forest cover has increased. But then there are 2 types of forests. One is the natural forest and one is the man-made forest. And as per the definition of forest under the Forest Act, I think even shrubs are forests. So there's a lot of slip between the cup and the lip. And the man-made forests, they're not resilient forests. They cannot compare with the natural forests. They don't last as long as the natural forest. Having said that, I would just like to, you see, another thing that I read was the 50% of the global glaciers would probably disappear by 2100, the year 2100. Now we are in 2026, so give or take another 84 years. We are going to have less water, that means your rivers are going to be drier, especially those who rely on the glaciers, mountains, glaciers for the water. As per the McGill University projections, without aggressive emission cuts, tropics like India will be too hot by the year 2500 AD. And having said that, I would just like to read out Article 48A and 51A. I won't read out the exact article, but I'll just tell you what it means, what it says. Article 48A of the Constitution provides that the state shall endeavour to protect and improve the environment and to safeguard the forests and wildlife of the country. So that is for the state to do. Now, all citizens of India have got fundamental rights. At the same time, we all have fundamental duties. And Article 51A, bracket G, says that one of the fundamental duties of every citizen is to protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, and wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures. Now, what does environment mean? Section 2 of the Environment Protection Act 1986 provides that the environment includes water, air, land, and the interrelationship which exists among and between water, air, and land, and human beings, and other living creatures, plants, microorganisms, and property. Now, I would like to just quote the Canadian astrophysicist Hubert Reeves, who had said, "Man is the most insane species. He worships an invisible God and destroys a visible nature, unaware that this nature he is destroying is this God he is worshipping." Human beings, this is I'm reading from the judgment of the Supreme Court in State of Telangana versus Muhammad Abdul Qasim, 2024, 6 SCC 461, wherein it has been stated that human beings indulge themselves in selective amnesia when it comes to fathom the significance of forests. It is the forest which gives life to earth by replacing carbon dioxide with oxygen, thereby providing a hospitable environment for the steady growth of diverse life forms. It is the spirit of the forest that moves the earth. History shall not be understood from the jaundiced eyes of humans, but through the prism of the environment, the forest in particular. And as you go on, you can read about environmental justice and environmental equity, where the bad effects of global warming will be first felt by the poor and needy, not by the rich. When you go to Delhi and you see all the pollution there, if you talk to your friends or your relatives who are in Delhi, you will know that most of them are now having air purifiers in their room. Besides AC, they are having these air purifier machines. And of course, I don't know the exact cost. But I don't think the poor have that. The persons who live in slums, I don't believe they have this air purifiers. But the rich people can afford. So that is what is going to happen. When environment is damaged, the poor and needy will be the first to suffer. Because you are going to have drought, you are going to have failure in food production, you are going to have many things. And I think the resource persons are going to say more about that. So I will not delve into that issue much. There is a crying need for change in our approach. That is clear. And man, being an enlightened species, is expected to act as a trustee of the earth. This is not me saying, this is the Supreme Court saying. And now, I just want to read out. You see, in REACT, we have put 3 plaques, I don't know. We have had Justice Bobde, Justice U. Lalit, both Chief Justices of the Supreme Court of India. And our own Chief has also inaugurated 1 plaque. And these are the words, these are their own words, not my words, which I'll just read out. So Justice Bobde had said, to destroy nature is to destroy ourselves. To protect nature is to protect ourselves. Then our chief had said, the earth does not belong to us. We are only the caretakers. Let it remain clean and green. And then Justice U.U. Lalit had said, it is our duty to take care of our mother and hand it over in a better form to future generations. So this is when, now when you read those, what's written in the plaque, with what the Supreme Court has held in this case of Abdul Qasim, you see, this is where this is, I find a common thread in all of them, in all of their approach and their beliefs. Man, being an enlightened species, is expected to act as a trustee of the earth. But we are actually destroying it in a way. So hopefully, and I am quite sure that what you will learn today will change our approach to how we should treat nature and be more of a protector than a destroyer. Thank you.
Thank you, Lordship, for the informative and challenging speech. Let me now invite the Honorable Chief Justice of Guwahati High Court and Patron-in-Chief of Mizoram State Legal Services Authority, Honorable Mr. Justice Ashutosh Kumar, for an inaugural address.
Thank you, Nancy. Very warm good morning to all of you. My esteemed colleagues, Justice Michael, Justice Nelson, Sister Mali, Mr. Richana on the dais, distinguished delegates, members of the bar, members of the judiciary, and in fact, all present here. You heard what Justice Michael said. This was, the own words of two of the Chief Justices of India and one by me, which came straight from heart. But let me begin today with a simple but a very unsettling thought. It would be a continuation of what you have heard from Justice Nelson and Justice Michael. Nonetheless, the purpose is not to let you remember the provisions of the Constitution or various provisions of the Acts, but to sensitize you why this is important. The unsettling thought is that we did not inherit this earth from our ancestors. In fact, we are borrowing it from our children. And today, the borrowed earth is showing signs of distress. Now, let's preserve it and how to do it. Well, I will take you to 1974. This was the year in which, in village Reni, R-E-N-I, a village, small Himalayan village in the state of Uttarakhand, contractors had entered the village with axes to clear the forests. And a lady called Gaura, she stood up, she gathered women around these contractors and said that, you can't fell trees unless you shoot us. The trees are our mothers and you will have to destroy us before destroying our mother. This was not only a declaration of the thought that nature is to be preserved, but kind of moral indictment that you possibly can't do it. And then all these ladies, they hugged the trees, and it was very difficult for the foresters, the fellers, the lumberjacks to do their work. And thus began the Chipko movement, as you know, led by Sundarlal Bambuna and Chandi Prasad Bhatt. They made it an international awakening in the Indian context. It was a declaration that ecology is life. It is not merely, rhetorical language, but it is life in its own perspective. This movement turned local resistance into an environmental awakening for this country. Our constitution was drafted at a time when this idea about environment was not so pronounced. But still, the constitution did make provision for it, and as you have heard, Article 48A, which obligates the state to protect the environment, and 51AG, which casts a duty on all of us, all the citizens, to protect the environment. And of course, the wide encompassing Article 21 of the Constitution, which declares that right to life includes within it the right to clean air, water, forests. We have now, with the intervention of the Supreme Court, High Courts, and judiciary in particular, we have now a very well-defined and evolved jurisprudential, environmental jurisprudential structure to prevent the environment from degradation. See, some of the real concepts which have been evolved over a period of time are that polluter pays. Whoever pollutes, he has to pay. Doctrine of absolute trust. Then precautionary principles. These doctrines have been embedded in the laws which have been made for preserving our environment. A reference to Silent Valley project would be necessary. Some of you environmentalists would bear it out. In 1970, there was a hydroelectric project conceived of in the Silent Valley of Kerala. The justification for that project was development, electricity for growing population. But then scientists and activists like Sugata Kumari and M.K. Prasad told the government, and in fact gathered the momentum, that if this project is given a go through, then biodiversity would be the first casualty and it would be irretrievable damage to the biodiversity. And because of their movement, the project was dropped, Silent Valley was saved. Years of struggle, and only thereafter we have the Silent Valley in Kerala intact. This was the turning point in the Indian history. India recognized that development without ecological wisdom would be akin to destruction. But one of the greatest culprits for degradation of forests is the population growth, the population pressure. How is that so? By itself it may not be an enemy, but unregulated urbanization and reckless consumption they are our sworn enemies, especially in the context of Northeast. The encroachment of wetlands, the cutting of hills which has led to landslides, and urban flooding. We have been grappling with this in the public interest litigation at Guwahati bench. Urban flooding because of disappearance of natural drainage. See, some person with great wit very pithily said that when forests fall, floods rise. Nature does not negotiate, it responds, and it responds by recording the injury on it. Now these are very pithily said sentences, but it conveys a lot of meaning. I think all of us know about Bhopal gas tragedy. This was in the night of 2nd of December 1984, when I was in my first year of graduation. Toxic gases leaked from a factory in Bhopal. Thousands died. Lakhs suffered. In future also, they suffered lifelong consequences. It was not only industrial recklessness or industrial negligence. The aftermath of the tragedy disclosed that the bad effects were exacerbated because of dense population, allowing the population to grow around hazardous industries, environmental complacency, and many such factors which had to do with lack of planning. It was at that time that people like Rashid Amin and Jabbar, he was Abdul Jabbar, they fought tirelessly for justice. And this Bhopal gas tragedy has given us the Environmental Protection Act of 1986. Let me take you to the international scenario. You remember Greta Thunberg, the 15-year-old girl. She led a strike in front of the schools. It did not limit, it was not limited to the cry of a child along with her companions. When at one point of time, when the world realized that what she was talking was sense, she told the world leaders, and this is what she said: how dare you? This was the question put to the world leaders, that how dare you allow the nature to be degraded like this without your planning? People say that her words did cast an impact. It did not remain only rhetorical. It was again a moral indictment for the world. And she reminded the world that the climatic change is not a distant threat. It's an existential reality, and it had to be tackled with full measure. Similarly, Kailash Satyarthi, the Nobel laureate, he also said very wisely that child slavery and climate injustice are interconnected. Look at this. Now, he brought in the concept of child slavery and climate injustice together. And the purpose was to let people know that all this would have the worst impact on the poorest and the youngest, because they suffer the most. Therefore, he concluded that environmental protection, this war against degradation of forests and spoiling of the climate, this is about intergenerational justice. And therein lies the importance of what people like Kailash Satyarthi and others said. There's yet another example which is very, very oft quoted in all these talks of climatic change and our efforts to control it. This is from Kenya, a lady called Wangari Maathai. She mobilized hundreds of women of the village to plant trees, and 50 million trees were planted because of her efforts in the green belt. She once, when she was addressing a group of reporters, and when she was asked why did she take up this project of making women participate in sapling of trees, she says that when we plant trees, we plant seeds for peace and hope. Look at the reach and extent of her thought. Because she hailed from village, and she realized the importance of the protection of climate. Of our own, and drawn from the experiences of the world, the judiciary has often stepped in. This is no patting our own backs, but to tell you a fact that judiciary has stepped in wherever the governance in that regard has faltered. Now we have public interest litigation, which is a very, very strong tool and which has been used to protect forests, rivers and wildlife. I would not tell you the names of the cases. All of you know, that will be told to you by your resource persons, MC Mehta and many other cases that you have heard. By all these litigation, by all these judgments, the courts have monitored pollution control, they have regulated minings in areas, and have also restricted vehicular emission in some of the metropolitan cities. And because of this, and because of this consciousness, we have laws like Environmental Protection Act, you heard, Water Pollution Act of 1974, Air Pollution Act of 1981, Forest Conservation Act of 1980, and National Green Tribunal Act of 2010. But what I wish to tell you is this, that law can command compliance. You can make laws, you can punish the defaulters, but it will not create conscience. It is these seminars which are important to let you, let these ideas sink into you, so that you understand the importance of it, the importance of you as an elder of today and your responsibility towards the younger generation. Courts cannot plant every tree. Courts cannot clean every river. Courts cannot monitor every construction in a city. you will have to do it, and you will have to do it with a messianic zeal. That is what I wish to convey. See, there are some very interesting, catchy quotes. Somebody said that your GDP measures wealth, it measures growth, it does not measure greed. It is, I must say, it is an honor and responsibility to be here to address you all. The subject, to my estimation, in my mind, is not only academic.